supporters of the
99, Wajakoya George 96. Meru County, Igambe North Constituency, total registered voters 77,050, total valid votes 48,985, rejected ballots 562, Odinga Raila 12,079, Ruto William 36,517, Wahiga David 111, Wajakoya George 278. Bungoma County, Sirisia Constituency, total registered voters 48,717, total valid votes 29,443, rejected ballots 396, Odinga Raila 11,882, Ruto William 17,275, Wahiga David 120, Wajakoya George 166. Muranga County, Kiharu Constituency, total registered voters 119,465, total valid votes 80,719, rejected ballots 433, Odinga Raila 13,114, Ruto William 66,939, Wahiga David 283, Wajakoya George 383. Lamu County, Lamu West Constituency, total registered voters 59,421, total valid votes 35,367, rejected ballots 451, Odinga Raila 16,596, Ruto William 18,237, Wahiga David 138, Wajakoya George 396. Kirinyaga County, Moya Constituency, total registered voters 131,788, total valid votes 88,587, rejected ballots 694, Odinga Raila 12,884, Ruto William 75,028, Wahiga David 186, Wajakoya George 489. Nairobi City County, Westlands Constituency, total registered voters 160,739, total valid votes 84,145, rejected ballots 1,115, Odinga Raila 55,088, Ruto William 28,232, Wahiga David 332, Wajakoya George 493. Bobasi Constituency, total registered voters 106,060, total valid votes 67,496, rejected ballots 760, Odinga Raila 50,242, Ruto William 16,863. Wahiga David, 116. Wajakoya George, 275. Kitui County, Kitui Central Constituency. Total registered voters, 77,787. Total valid votes, 46,316. Rejected ballots, 431. Odinga Raila, 29,069. Ruto William, 16,820. Wahiga David, 144. Wajakoya George, 283. Kiambu County, Juja Constituency. Total registered voters, 134,638. Total valid votes, 86,256. Rejected ballots, 462. Odinga Raila, 32,197. Ruto William, 62,208. Wahiga David, 353. Wajakoya George, 498. Kiambu County, Gatundu North Constituency. Registered voters, 71,810. Total valid votes, 49,394. Rejected ballots, 431. Odinga Raila, 8,745. Ruto William, 40,310. Wahiga David, 136. Wajakoya George, 203. Makueni County, Kilome Constituency. Total registered voters, 59,178. Total valid votes, 35,504. Rejected ballots, 240. Odinga Raila, 28,166. Ruto William, 7,023. Wahiga David, 82. Wajakoya George, 233. Mombasa County, Kisauni Constituency. Total registered voters, 135,690. Total valid votes, 57,643. Rejected ballots, 572. Odinga Raila, 35,190. Ruto William, 21,877. Wahiga David, 125. Wajakoya George, 451. Nairobi City County, Embakasi West Constituency. Total registered voters, 141,800. Total registered voters, okay, Nairobi City County, Embakasi West Constituency.
And welcome back to Kenya Decides. My name is Daniel Wahome. It is KBC Channel 1's continued coverage of the general election 2022. Voting day was the 9th of August, with the exception of Eldas and Wajir constituencies, where the elections were conducted on the 10th of August. And already we know the governors who have been elected, with the exception of Narok County, whose tallying and management has been moved to the Bomas of Kenya. And we've got Kakamega County and Mombasa County. No elections have been held. They'll take place on the 23rd. All countrywomen members of the National Assembly, they have been elected. Senators have been elected. When it comes down to the National Assembly, well, 286 positions have been filled. So all that information is going on. And at the moment, as at the last count, we had 237 constituencies confirmed. Remember that we are working with 291, the 291st being the diaspora. So there's still 54 more constituencies to go. And this was after a revision of the way that the tallying was being done at the Bomas of Kenya. That was announced on Saturday by IBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati. So rather than receive the form last, he's receiving the forms first. Well, tonight, I've got two of my colleagues with me, and let me start with our senior, Topi Liambila.
Thank you, Daniel, and you're welcome. Hope for a good show.
Oh yes, everyone's going to be interesting. And also, talking about the numbers, will be Shiksha Arora.
All right, of course, thank you so much for that, Wahome. I mean, I'd like to say good morning because it's a fresh day for us, and we're definitely going to be crunching the numbers and just talking about what is happening in terms of the National Assembly, in terms of the constituencies, as we continue to get the numbers coming in from Bomas of Kenya. And remember, the one thing that everybody is talking about right now is how many seats have been filled up in the National Assembly. And as you can see, we have a bit of a chart over here, and this is for the seat distribution at the National Assembly. So far, as you can see, we've got 104 seats that have been taken up by UDA, that's United Democratic Alliance. We've got Orange Democratic Movement that has filled up 70 seats, as you can see right here. Jubilee Party with 20, and that's in red. In maroon, you can see United Democratic Movement, that's right here. Of course, we also have Kenya Africa National Union, that's KANU, which you can see in orangish, and of course Maendeleo Chap Chap Party, that is in purple. We also have Democratic Party of Kenya, that's in light green, that's 1 seat, and National Agenda Party of Kenya, that's 1 seat. Now moving on, we have Wiper Democratic Movement of Kenya, that is 19 seats taken up, and that's in this blue that you can see. Amani National Congress, that's got 5 seats taken up in the National Assembly. Forum for Restoration of Democracy Kenya, that's 4 seats in the dark green. And then of course you have the khaki, the darkest green on this particular chart, that's United Party of Independent Alliance right here, as you can see. Of course, we also have Grand Dream Kenya Party, and that is 1 seat. And then remember, we have the Service Party, that is 1 seat as well. Now let's just take a look at what's happening in terms of the independent candidates. Those are 12. So that's in the dark gray, as you can see right here. Moving on, we have Democratic Action Party of Kenya. That's 5 seats in the National Assembly, and that is in blue that you can see right here. And then we have another blue that is a cobalt blue, that's Pamoja African Alliance, that's 3 seats, and Chama cha Mashinani that you can see, that is this yellow right here, 1 seat, and Movement for Democracy and Growth, that's 1 seat. Remember, we are still waiting for 23 more, in terms of the seats, there's still 23 more to be filled, so we're waiting those results of who will take those seats, which side the seats will get filled up by. And remember, there's four different constituencies that we've not yet got results from. So that's from Rongai, Pokot South, Kacheliba, and Kitui Rural, as the voting has not taken place yet. It's going to be taking place on the 23rd of this month. So we are waiting those 4 areas as well. So as that happens, we'll be able to get a full distribution of all the National Assembly members, and of course the seats that have been filled up, and which side, as you can see, it's leaning towards. So yes, lots of of course, yellow right there from UDA, and then followed by the orange that is ODM. And then also we can see that there is a bit of, the red that's from Jubilee Party right here. That's 20 seats as well. And then some blue that's coming in fourth. That's the Wiper Democratic Movement of Kenya. The independent candidates rather are on 12 as well. So some gray here and there. So yeah, this is pretty much what the distribution looks like as of now. So we are awaiting the results. And of course, as they keep getting filled out right here, we'll have more colors coming in depending on which way it goes and which party takes each seat. So we have 23 to fill up right here on our chart, and I'll be giving you all the information on that as it happens right here on KBC Channel 1. For now, I'd like to hand it over back to my colleagues Topi and Wahome.
Well, thank you very much, Shiksha, for that update. And that is on the numbers and the parliamentary distribution. And let me just add a little bit when it comes to the numbers. And that is the National Assembly, the 290 geographic constituencies that we've got in the country. And we also have got the woman member of the county assembly. So we already have got 47. The distribution is there. UDA have got 21, ODM have got 11, Wiper 3, Wiper have got 4, UDM has 1. There are 3 independents, and that is the distribution that comes with it. And it's at this point that, we're trying to speak about the effects that's going to happen for how the country's legislative agenda is going to move before we even touch on the distribution that is at the Senate, because we already know that 24 of the senators are from UDA. And to have that conversation, we've got 2 advocates on my immediate left. I'll go ladies first. We've got Millie Luanga. Willie, good morning.
Good morning.
And also we've got Gibson Gisora. Gibson, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes. And first, let's take a look at this. Millie, I'll start with you. The kind of distribution of numbers that we've seen. And this is at this point, given even the coalitions, the way they've been formed, you put in Ford Kenya, you can put in the Service Party, Chama cha Kazi, all of these parties that are under the Kenya Kwanza side, then put together ODM, the Jubilee Party and all this that form the Azimio coalition. What's the possibility of an outright majority this time round?
It's going to be interesting, which is going to be good for Kenya if we adhere to the law. Now, the first thing that we must remember is that there is no legal binding, so to speak, document that brings Kenya Kwanza together as a party. It's a coalition. And that means that things can change a lot more swiftly for them as compared to the Azimio party, which has signed into law, so that we have even a political party that has produced a candidate, one single candidate, but a candidate nevertheless. So now having these agreements that have been deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties will make it a lot more clear the level and extent to which the coalition can be able to control the manner in which the party conducts itself, so that when they want to support a bill or not support a bill, when they want to vote down a motion or support a motion, they can be able to whip the members. But of course that will also depend on who they have there as the whip, because if they have got somebody who is good at it, we saw in Jubilee 1, 2013 to 2017, he was not the whip, but Duale was excellent with making sure that his members came to vote when he needed them, until we called the MPs the voting machines, So it will be good to see that. That will mean that there'll be a lot of robust discussion. There'll be a lot of give and take. Hopefully, there will be one minority, one strong minority, whether it's in the form of a coalition or it's in the form of the single party that has been formed. Then that minority will be able to bring in the voice of the people and put the majority voice, which is generally speaking the voice of the government of the day, in check.
So that's very interesting. I mean, like what you're saying about the coalitions which have not been, say, written in ink. so to speak.
Like Kenya Kwanza. Yes.
So basically, like, these guys can go to parliament and then we have, like, a free house. Like, they can go anywhere.
And that's the fear that many people have, because unfortunately, we have been led to believe that there's very little, I'm trying to look for the right word, discipline amongst our legislators. We have had stories of them being paid as little as 10,000 shillings in weird places, And so people have tended to believe in the previous parliaments that we've had that they are there for the buying. And whether this is right or not, we know that the former speaker has had inquiries into that to try and confirm the level and extent. Even when parliamentarians have themselves raised that in the House, he has asked them to substantiate. He has set committees up to try and find out information about such allegations. Now, that gives the public less confidence in these legislators, because you would want to believe that if you send communication to your member of parliament, that the member of parliament will be able to bring out that issue and will be able to, during debate, ensure that that concern of yours and of that group of people you are representing, if you're maybe civil society or an activist for a group, that will be brought to the floor of the House so that it will be considered, and maybe an amendment to a motion, maybe reconsideration of a bill, You'd hope that would happen.
Exactly.
But if these people have no time, they come, they do not want to debate, they only come to vote, They're waiting for the time of voting because they've been paid to come and vote. If that be the case, if it is true, then it would be very sad. It would be most unfortunate. Then it doesn't matter whether we have a strong minority or majority. Because, you see, again, the way the Constitution is currently crafted, the entire parliament is actually supposed to be like a opposition, like what we had in the old government. Because parliament, as it is constituted, with both the majority and minority, is supposed to oversight the government.
Yeah, but when you talk about, for instance, we're talking about parliament now. But I think maybe we have got a major problem prior to that. Forget even about the legislation and forget about even the legislators. And maybe Gibson, I'd like you to weigh in on this. Do we have political parties in Kenya? I mean, come on.
Thank you, Toby. See, we had such questions some time back, and we were with Millie.
Oh, that's why you're smiling very loudly.
Okay, smiling because her analogy was rather interesting to me, because for her, she tends to think that we have very solid parties and they have been tested over time. So for me, I don't think that is the case.
I'm with you on that.
Because really, if we were a serious political party country, we could not be having every election, having a party changing the leadership. Parties are associated with personalities. Parties need to be independent,
exactly,
strong, have structures, and then be able to own a government. But here, it's personalities who own a government, and then parties just come in to supplement, which is really very sad.
And they qualify like a certificate.
Yes, they qualify like a certificate. And I think it's because she worked something akin to that. That's why she was trying to defend it. But from where I stand, I would rather have a strong party, which is tested, which people have to play loyalty to.
Exactly.
In Kenya, we don't have anybody playing loyalty to any party, save for when they're in parliament and they want to maybe pass something and they are assured that you're going to be given something.
Yeah, because
which is very sad.
Because like when you look at the political system, I mean, look at ours, we borrow heavily from the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, we have got two major, of course, and one third party, Liberal Democrats, but they are just the Conservatives and the Labour Party. Also over across the pond in the United States, we have got the Republicans
and Democrats.
And the Democrats. Those ones, you see, it does not matter whether it's Trump who is heading the party, or whether it's George Bush, whether it's Ronald Reagan, whether it was Jeff Kennedy. It's immaterial. Wahome. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Just before Wahome comes in, let me finish my point. We don't need to go to the US or UK to actually look at Tanzania. Yeah. Tanzania has a very strong party. Yes, and even the opposition has also come of age. You can actually call it.
Tanzania has no opposition at the moment.
Yes. Yes.
But the coalition which be there.
I think
the coalition
because CAF MPs, all of them were decimated. I think there are only 3 non-CCM MPs.
That is the decision of the electorate. But look at also South Africa.
Yes.
Very strong parties. Look at Uganda, NRM, very strong. Those are parties which you can say they have been tested over time. And then there's party discipline. When you have party discipline, especially on the government side, you end up having very clean government, and a government which is responsible because the party disciplines its members. Now you have a party where you have rogue guys. Another guy can jump out anytime he wants. He wants to side and with anybody or become rogue. And of course they try to discipline, but the guy doesn't consider it a big thing. That boils down to the democracy of a country and goes to how Kenyans perceive or how Kenyans will want to behave, even in workplaces. And that's very dangerous. We need to have order, because if the government party, the winning parties or the parties in parliament are not having any sanity, then what are we telling Kenyans? That you can actually be rogue even at your workplace. And that becomes a very dangerous analogy to go by. And every election, we are going to have new parties.
I think that Gibson wants us to have dictatorship, then he will be very happy. No, because you see, we have strong parties. We have parties that have subsisted. We still have PNU as a party to date. If that is not an established party, what is? We still have Ford Kenya as a party to date. If that is not an established party, then what is? We still have ODM to date, and it still has numbers. We still have Jubilee to date, and it still has numbers. It seems to, from what we have just been shown in the chart, seems to have the 3rd largest number of legislators in the House as currently constituted. So we still have Wiper. You see, we have these parties that have been subsisting for the last so many years, and they have not died off completely. We do have a few parties that have died off, but we have parties that have been established. They have got membership. They produce people to the House. They discipline their members.
I don't know what home is. But a quick one on Mili, because Mili is just trying to. She's bringing in something like, okay, please, like we have banks.
Yes.
There's Family Bank, there's the Absa Bank, there's Faulu Bank. And they all have members and they all give money.
There's even Chase, which died.
Yes.
But these banks are dying every other day.
And if I may take a cue from Gibson and say, also let me finish my...
Wait, Gibson, by the way, Gibson, I wanted to respond to Millie. By having proper, what did you say? If we were to have 2 or 3 very strong parties, are we having a...
Why do we want to limit it to 3? Why do we want to limit it to 3? When you say...
Eventually, they are down to ideologies.
But parties discipline. Do you remember Isaac Mwaura, the nominated MP, being sent packing by his party? Do you remember that?
Yes. He has grown in.
Yes. So that isn't that party discipline?
Normal. That's very normal.
But isn't that party discipline?
Dissidents are expelled, suspended.
Yes, that's very normal.
The party, new people come in. But what we are talking about here, maybe, is bigger than just that suspension. We are talking about maybe today saying she's with Absa Bank, and then the next morning she's with KCB, and the next day, with whatever bank. What political parties? Excuse me. We need some direction.
Yes.
I want when you tell me that I belong to the PNU.
A life member.
I'm a life member of PNU. I am PNU, and I subscribe to PNU. And
there is an ideology.
Whether we are in government, whether we have a president or not, I'm still PNU. But is it the same? I think in this country there's only been KANU.
Yes.
And I don't think there's any other party from KANU. These guys are just they're just dress-ups.
No, that's a different conversation.
Yes, I want to agree with you. The last party we had in this country was KANU. And when KANU went down, we have been having different clothes of KANU.
Yes.
People changing shirts.
Different shades.
It's like claiming you're working for a certain bank, if I used your analogy, and then tomorrow you are cashing in on a different bank. That doesn't work that way. You see, sanity, political hygiene has got to come from parties. At least she agrees with me on that. So if we can be able to inculcate that, we can be able to have hygiene in every department of government. And that is what we yearn for as Kenyans, and that's what is missing. If we can be able to have that, start from the top. They say the fish throats from the head. So we need to pull that down.
But what?
She's talking of dictatorship. Let me just respond to the aspect. Because that is very interesting.
Yeah.
There's no dictatorship. We have in South Africa, you see a party even pulls the presidential candidate, tells him, hey, dude, you have misrepresented us. We just want somebody else on top.
The way Jubilee pulled Moura.
Yes, but some order.
Yes, that is order.
So we need some order.
Why are we mesmerized?
We have the UK where Prime Minister just the party loses faith in him, and the guy resigns because he has no option to resign. That's the kind of discipline we need to have so that we exercise our democracy. Put in using political parties. But this democracy, we are just running around left, right, and center. We even don't know who is where.
You see,
some guys are in government, but they're in opposition. What is that?
No, the question then, I mean, this is where I want to bring in, before we get back to that, as we come into this, just to add on to what we're going to have in the National Assembly specifics. ANC, 1 woman county representative. Independents, 3. Jubilee Party, 3. KANU,
3?
Yes. Jubilee has 3. Garissa, Isiolo, and Nyamira.
Or the women rep?
The women rep.
Okay.
So then Tana River, Tana River is represented by Amina Dika of KANU, 1. West Pokot, there is a party known as KUP. Rael Chepkemoi. ODM has 11. The Service Party, 1. UDA, 21. Mandera County is represented by Umul Khair Hasim, UDM, and Waipa has got 4. Kitui, Machakos, Makueni, and Kisii County. Then this is what I want to ask. Two forms of coalition to come, coalition agreements coming to Kenya. There is a pre-election coalition and there is a post-election coalition. So in the case of, Kenya, the Kenya Kwanza grouping, how will it end up? Is it considered a pre-election coalition, or is it going to be a post-election coalition that's going to be deposited as they head into the National Assembly with, say, for example, UDA 21 plus another 116 or 15 MPs, so they, with the numbers at 137. And then now they've got to bring in ANC, Ford Kenya, etc.
The details of what would define the agreement as pre or post are fine, and are in the letter of the agreement. We, unfortunately, in public, do not have the details. We tried, as Kenyans, you remember, to get the information as to what was Azimio, what was Kenya Kwanza agreement. At one point, even Chap said they can leave, and they were asking, they said they've not seen that agreement. At one point, we were being told by different people that they've signed, and they don't know what they've signed.
Actually, Chap were told you can't leave.
They were timed out.
Dry.
They were timed out, actually. They were timed out.
So it becomes difficult to say very firmly what exactly the position would be pre and post. But definitely, if we have sight of the agreement, there is possibility of, even with Azimio, with whatever party they formed and whatever details that they have there, they can still form another agreement with additional parties, because right now, as you can see, if they want to, from the chart, the beautiful chart that we were seeing on the screen, if they wanted to add their numbers so that they have more control of the House, whether it has majority or minority side, then they would want to talk to some of the independents, some of the other parties, and they could reach legally an agreement with those parties.
Now, Gibson, let me just come to this, and the factor of the independence. How is it going to play out when it comes to strengths in Parliament, given that this time round, the independents don't go into the National Assembly and stand out just as independent? They will also have their own caucus and representation in the House Business Committee.
That is going to be interesting, and I'm happy that they can have their own caucus for starters, because previously, if you came in, you had to play allegiance to some coalition or to some party for you to be actually enlisted as a member of some committee, which was very sad. But now that the rules have changed, I think that's a positive, that they have now to be recognized independently as independent, as the way they came. You know, they could be independent from the electorate, and then they arrive in parliament, and then they lose their independence. They lose their independence, which beats logic, which actually goes against the constitutional threshold of how they came in.
But I mean, when they get to parliament, they are, what did I say? They could align.
Yes, aligning, there's no problem. But the aspect of you being forced to align to get the committees is where the problem is.
Yes,
that was very wrong, because it offends the constitution.
Yeah, because they're independent. Yes. That's why they're called independent. Yes. So you cannot go there and then you're required to belong.
Yes, because if you now belong, it means you'll have to play along.
Yes, then you're not independent.
Then you're not independent. They have stolen your independence. So this aspect is going to be very interesting in this parliament, in that now these people can be able to caucus and say, we said, are we voting? We said, are we voting? So whoever wants to us to vote for them should come talk to us and convince us. That's going to be very so they can either choose to go with the government side or to the opposition side, depending on how they wish. And that is going to be very interesting.
Now, let me put it this way. The way our parliament, constitutionally is, you can be elected president, but you don't have a majority in parliament.
Yes.
Probably the case of the late former President Mwai Kibaki in 2007.
Yes.
Because in this case, how would I describe it? And this is what I was talking about, absolute majority. 169 MPs. What would it take? Just basically taking a look at the numbers. UDA, I think, are on 137, including the woman who've been elected at county level, the woman county member of the National Assembly. They need 32. How much lobbying would this grouping have to do to get to that absolute majority?
That now will boil down to the aspect of who is your whip and how well you're organized as a caucus. So it will mean whoever you choose as a whip has got to be very convincing. Because if you choose a weak whip or somebody who is arrogant, you won't be able to hack it. If you want to push for something, you have to have somebody who can actually ensure that the work is done. That is all they need. A very strong whip who can be able to caucus. And then they need to be very convincing. A party does not just arrive at parliament and then you stop. That's where you have this aspect of people losing faith in a party. You need to always engage your people. You need to always keep them. Having regular party meetings, giving them some benefits, especially in choosing them to the committees. That is very important, because it also matters to them, because it's a revenue for them now that the CDF will be gone. And if I don't feel catered for, that
is agenda number 2.
Yes, I wouldn't actually see the reason of why I should be able to work with you, especially. I have to express my interest through that I need to be in this particular, and then you tell me, no, you can't, we are choosing there are some people to be given. Of course, that will make me feel like you people are treating me like a second-class citizen. So that is going to be very different when you want something from me as a member of parliament to vote alongside whatever it is that you want. So you first need to cater for me. And I think UDA, I don't think they have a problem, because the way in which they have even done this election, they were pretty much organized. You remember, they were even able to tell members that, you guys, we have 3 people here. You live for this one, we will give you this one. So I don't think that's going to be a big problem, given the patron they have, who is very strong. You'll be able to push whatever agenda he wants to push. But I don't know if there's a music, because that's going to be a challenge.
That's actually what rubs me the wrong way.
Okay.
This aspect of, like a party literally belongs to an individual. That when that individual is not on, the party's off. That's where the danger is. Because I would like our children to grow up in an environment where they know that they belong to a certain party because of their policies, because of their mandate. And when they know that okay, fine, I don't know whether you guys are EPL fans, because I'm not. Like the football fans. I know the Arsenal fans here. I can see my friends, Arsenal fans. They get beaten every other day. But these guys are still Arsenal. Man United fans.
Actually, you should be referring to Man United in that.
Recent case scenario.
So what we are trying to say is that, okay, fine, that kind of and it's not even patriotism per se, is a question that, people need, a country needs to have that.
A loyalty.
Some loyalty. Like now the Republicans, the Grand Old Party, and the Democrats, they have got their agendas. And this agenda is like from time immemorial. They even refer to it, our founders would not have accepted this, like, during the Trump era. KANU was the party, okay, probably given that, because of when they started, they had a great founding, so they had good, what you would call a foundation stone. But these other parties, because if it looks like, the parties that have come after KANU are just established on, individuals' whims. Like,
that is the big issue that we have, I think, as a nation, that there's no ideology.
All right, Lily, let me interrupt you, because at the moment, let's move over to the Bomas of Kenya and listen in on the announcement.
Registered voters, 119,008. Total valid votes, 47,216. Rejected ballots, 670. Odinga Raila, 24,497. Ruto William Samoei, 22,210. Waika David Mwaure, 78. Wachakoya George Luchiri, 431. Kilifi County, Rabai constituency. Registered voters, 59,165. Total valid votes, 28,741. Rejected ballots, 294. Odinga Raila, 18,631. Ruto William Samoei, 9,705. Waika David Mwaure, 115. Wachakoya George Luchiri, 290. Wachia County, Wachia West constituency. Registered voters, 31,334. Total valid votes, 21,487. Rejected ballots, 82. Odinga Raila, 15,045. Ruto William Samoei, 6,369. Waika David Mwaure, 16. Wachakoya George Luchiri, 57. Homa Bay County, Rangwe constituency. Registered voters, 58,886. Total valid votes, 42,730. Rejected ballots, 159. Odinga Raila, 42,308. Ruto William Samoei, 319. Waika David Mwaure, 13. Wachakoya George Luchiri, 90. Samburu West constituency. Registered voters, 43,428. Total valid votes, 31,332. Rejected ballot, 173. Odinga Raila 18,992. Ruta William Samoei 12,206. Waika David Maure 28. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 106. Samburu North constituency. Registered voters 29,830. Total valid votes 21,693. Rejected ballots 56. Odinga Raila 14,598. Ruta William Samoei 7,015. Waika David Maure 17. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 63. Migori County, Kuria East constituency. Registered voters 41,976. Total valid votes 29,035. Rejected ballots 288. Odinga Raila 12,031. Ruta William Samoei 16,795. Waika David Maure 65. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 144. Kisii County, Kitutu Churches South constituency. Registered voters 66,908. Total valid votes 40,870. Rejected ballots 398. Odinga Raila 30,857. Ruta William Samoei 9,187. Waika David Maure 57. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 169. Baringo North, Baringo County. Registered voters 50,287. Total valid votes 38,630. Rejected ballots 159. Odinga Raila 923. Ruta William Samoei 37,635. Waika David Maure 16. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 56. Uasin Gishu County, Turbo constituency. Registered voters 120,202. Total valid votes 77,278. Rejected ballots 486. Odinga Raila 25,927. Ruta William Samoei 51,068. Waika David Maure 117. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 166. Kitui County, Mwingi Central constituency. Registered voters 74,283. Total valid votes 44,490. Rejected ballots 817. Odinga Raila 33,082. Ruta William Samoei 10,749. Waika David Maure 228. Wachakoya Church Luchiri 439. Thank you.
That is Commissioner Irene Masit, who was reading results from the more of the constituencies. And we, coming into this shift, we had 54 constituencies to go, and the numbers are reducing bit by bit. Looks like the decision to do the process in reverse by IBC Chair Wafula Chebukati changed, everything, and we're seeing more numbers coming through. So we should be now down to just over 30 constituencies to go. And just looking at the IBC portal, it's just 2 constituencies which do not have, their Form 34Bs uploaded. So that shouldn't be a big one. But let's continue the conversation. And here Millie, I had to interrupt you so that we could go get the results, get to listen into the results from Bomas. You could continue with the point that you were making.
Was
anyway, she remembers it. Basically, the point you were making is, about the coalition, about the openness of this post and pre-coalition documents. How everyone tried to find out where are these forms, where is this, where are these forms for Kenya Kwanza or Azimio? What's in the detail?
Yeah, well, I think that it will be keen to see what kind of agreements that they will forge coming forward. We know that with access to information law, it should be easier really than it has been for us to be able to get information and access to these documents so that we can understand how we hold them accountable. But it will of course be much easier once the president-elect is declared, because naturally power sucks more people, and you'll find that there'll be more and more of the parties wanting to align that way so that they can be with a belief, maybe rightly so, I don't know, that they will then be able to deliver to their people because they'll be able to influence the budgeting and the allocation of resources. So they would want to be on that side, and they may be willing to get into those agreements. So there should be a lot more political discussion following the close of the general elections.
But Gibson, something odd about the way the parliament is going to be set up. It's if I've got 143 MPs as a party or a coalition, and the closest I've got 130. I do not have the absolute majority, but I become the majority party. What's going to be the implication of this, given which way it could go? The possibility that you're a president, but your coalition is the minority in parliament. Or if you're a president, like we had in 2017, where Jubilee had the absolute majority of 172. That was before the others came in.
I think basically the numbers, if you have the numbers in parliament, you are standing on a good pedestal. But we have had scenarios, as you have said, in 2007 and other circumstances where you find that the party which has come into power, it has the presidency, but it doesn't have the numbers. So that is where now the problem comes in, that as Milia said, you have to gravitate to power. So there are those parties, independent parties we've seen, which, of course, they will be given a deal. They will be given a deal, and nobody wants to lose out. Nobody wants to lose out, so they will jump into the deal and they will be voting most probably with government. And once they do that, then government will be on a good stand, because it's very important for government to always have majority or to have a working coalition, because you need your agenda to be passed, especially during the budget, around the budget time. That is when it really matters more. It's very important. It's very important, because if you don't have the numbers, then your budget is not going to pass. Your government is going to stall. We have seen this happen in the US, you remember, at some point where the government had to be locked down for some days, and that was quite a challenge. So in Kenya, we've not seen that happen, because Kenyans are malleable, but I think we remember when the Senate could not be able to agree on the dispersible amounts, and that also became a challenge.
It was kind of. And you're not talking about now that, when you mention that now, it brings up again.
Yes.
We are talking about the parliament, and we're talking about the strength of the numbers. What impact has the Senate got on all this? I mean, because it should be the upper house, ideally. That's what was
It should be the upper
Initially,
house.
that was
That was the idea.
That
Yeah,
was the
just turned out to
idea.
be-
Till it turned out to be different.
like a toothless bulldog. That's what they call them. I mean, the Senate. What's
I think my friend Millie Luanga cannot agree with you on that. Let me just warn you on that.
Yeah, I know.
I also don't think that it's toothless because they still have the aspect of the counties.
the oversight?
Yes.
The oversight
actually,
of the
just to be
counties.
specific
And
about
then
the
we have seen a lot of bills which Parliament has tried to pass and then they have been annulled. I think the latest was the court gave, is it 60? Around 60 bills. So that they cannot be toothless if they still have such powers.
When-
There is the aspect of them, not their roles which were not clearly delineated. Now I think that it's very clear. They know what they can be able to control and what they can't be able to control.
They need to define themselves. They need to redefine. I mean, that's the way I see it, because I think maybe because they've been flip-flopping because their role is not properly defined, or rather, like again, we are talking about the presidency. When everybody gravitates over the presidency, that the presidency also has a direct control on parliament and on government, so that that time again now they can very easily sideline the Senate.
Actually, let me just put it on this topic just before we continue and really respond. The numbers. UDA 24. That's straight. That's an absolute majority.
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Yes.
And also, when you look at the governors, with the exception of the two who haven't been voted, we're talking about 22 for the UDA, 21 ODM, and 2 coming through other parties. So there's still another 2 to come. So, Millie, the role of the Senate, we very well know, number 1, the Division of Revenue Bill, that has to go through them. The National Assembly, that touches on devolution, or has to go through the Senate. There is also the oversight of governors, plus the impeachment of governors, although...
And the president.
And the president.
presidency.
And the president. Let's take a look back at what has been and what would be expected of this coming Senate, and knowing that already one side has an absolute majority.
I think it will be very interesting. And I say so because Senate plays a key role in protecting devolution. We know that the key thing, the tie that my colleague Gibson was talking about a few minutes ago, that Senate was unable, the impasse they had in the division of revenue. Now, remember that the issue was the 1 man, 1 shilling issue. Right now, they have that as a majority, that side that was pushing for that agenda, and they will be on one side of it. It will be interesting to see how they push that agenda. It will be interesting to see how they will use that majority to protect devolution.
Actually, the
Because
person
they
who
will
was
have-
leading that lost his role. Yes, Governor-elect Muranga County.
Yes.
After that, he had a change of heart.
Yes, and he said he wrote a letter.
Yeah, actually, for being a little bit too honest.
Yes.
He lost his role, so you'd expect that he would have a change of heart.
You would expect that, but you may not necessarily see that. So I'm saying it will be an interesting thing to watch, because this side, we will be able to test the level and extent to which UDA as a party will be able to protect devolution, because they have the majority, they are in the Senate, and the Senate has got the key role of protecting devolution in many aspects. Are they going to make sure that the governors are streamlined, that they are not abusing office? Are they going to make sure that resources are going to the county governments? We will be watching out for this, and I hope that actors, media and civil society who are keen on watching the way the House implements its mandate will be watching out for this.
I think it's also very interesting because the patron of UDA he was used to chair the council of the budget for government. He was very close. He was the point man from government he used to negotiate with them directly. So having majority in the Senate, we will actually want to see how he behaves with this party now that they have majority.
Now, and how about this aspect of Gavana? Like now you're talking about the patron. Okay, on presumption. I mean, like say, for example, now the Azimio patron and the UDA patron. Either of them who will lose, are they going to be in parliament?
No.
That's the point. So then, on the assumption that, maybe if it's UDA doesn't make, then it means the patron will not be there.
But the party have caucuses.
Yes.
They caucus as a party. They agree as a party. And then when you go to the house, you go and push the agenda of the party. And in fact, when you fail to push the agenda of the party can take disciplinary action against you.
But there was also a talk, I think sometime, I don't know if it was 2017 or, I think after 2017, just before the handshake. I don't know if I don't remember well, maybe you can refresh me a bit. I thought there was talk of that, okay, fine. If we have like a chairman of a party, the party does not, a presidential aspirant who doesn't make it become, that he should also be allowed, to sit in parliament. Was that?
That was a BBI
proposal. Which is also another talking point, actually.
Yes.
BBI, where are we going to?
Because, I mean, at the moment, we can't talk about BBI because you would have to wait for something to come in. And it also brings in a factor here is when it comes to oversighting governors, how much, how well should the Senate exercise its role and to ensure it is watertight? Because I'll give the case of outgoing Embu Governor, Martin Wambora. He was impeached twice and won twice. And everyone in 2017 was asking, the Senate, really? Is what you're doing right? Really? Is this real? Before we saw the impeachment of Sonko Gibson, how much more should they, do their work to avoid such a scenario?
I think pretty much to the end of this parliament, we saw Senate trying to have a foot in whatever it is that they are doing. Now they run their matters, and I think that gives me confidence that when this new Senate which is going to come, they will take cue from the previous, and that should be able to be.
Okay, Gibson, we'll be coming back to you. So Millie, strengthening the